It's Chad de Blasio with de Blasio Photography back again. Wanted to show you a few quick things in Lightroom that makes editing so much easier, especially when you're running through family sessions or weddings or babies. And we're going to talk about syncing today. So I've got my base image here. This is Peyton. She's a friend of ours. She's working on a modeling portfolio, so we took her out and shot a little bit the other day. This is raw, straight from the camera. As you can see, there's no correction. What we're going to do is we're going to go to one of the images that I've already edited in this little set. You can see there's 4 or 5 here in front of this red barn. I edited this one already for color and balance just to make it easier on the video. But if you hit the backslash key, you can see the before. Not a ton of difference, just a little bit of addition to our editing style. I'm going to select that image and I'm going to hold the shift button. Now while I have that shift button down, you can see these buttons change. Reset to Adobe, whatever the original was. But that's just one of the ways you'll know that you have that shift button already pressed, is you'll see that pop up. But then you're just going to click on the end of your little set and you'll see them all light up. Now, if I move over, you'll see how on the bottom here the image that we have selected is a whiter white than the other ones. What you're going to want to do is have the image that you want to sync from, or the one that has the edits that you want the others to have, to be the whitest white, or to be the one that's showing up here in the viewer. And you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either hit the word sync, or you can do what I do a lot, is the shortcut, which is Shift Command. Synchronize settings tab will pop up. Now, in this synchronize settings, you can change or select or unselect any of these that you want. So if I hit check none, the only thing that it's going to check is the ones that I want to sync. So a lot of times what I'll do when I'm editing a session is I will edit a base image, and then I will get that look down, and I will make it all of the things that I want the rest of the images to sync to. So I don't want them necessarily to sync to exposure, because those are all going to be different, and I usually adjust for that. I don't want them to sync to white balance necessarily, because as an overall, because all of them are shot in different environments, I don't want them to have the same exact white balance. The other thing I want to take out of there is crop, because if I made any crop adjustments to this image, straightened it or cropped it down, I don't want that to happen on every image. Spot removal and local adjustments, like if I made any brush adjustments or graduated filters or anything like that. Now, pretty much that is a good setup for a universal synchronize. What synchronize is going to do is, once I hit the sync button, this base image, it's going to change those settings on these other images exactly the same. So you'll see how it brought up the blacks to -5, the shadows to +25, -5, the shadows are +25, the highlights are -59. Now, syncing does not universally and magically make every image look how it should look. What it does do is it gives you the ability to synchronize the majority of the settings that you change on an image across a span of images, so you don't have to make all those adjustments on every image. So these ones that are all shot in the front of the same barn, very similar lighting, very similar color, white balance, I'm going to go ahead and change the white balance and exposure to sync, which means that these should change these other images very close to where I want them to be as an endpoint. Now, what this gives me the ability to do, I'm going to make that one a little bit brighter. I'm going to hit the plus key just to bring the exposure up a little bit. Now, if I hit plus and it says increase contrast, that means I know that I have the contrast selected. I'll just go up here and click on exposure. Exposure is what I usually leave this plus and minus on, because that's really easy for me to scroll through with my arrow key, hit plus or minus, and be able to change the exposure. I want to bring that one down just a tad more, with a little more contrast in the pants. And I'm also going to change this crop just a little bit. Hit the R button, pull the crop down, straighten it out a little bit, and we're done. So now I've been able to edit 5 images in just a matter of seconds. What I can do then is go back over to just this image, and since I want this next one to be black and white, I'll hold my command button rather than shift, because that will allow me to individually select. And I'll select these here, which are also in front of that red barn, same color, same greens in the grass, and I'm going to hit that command Shift S. I'm going to leave all of these selected just like they are, and I'm going to hit synchronize. I'm going to go over and I'm going to make sure that this image looks the way it should. like that. This is the original. You can see it's just a little darker, a little less like our style. I may bump up that exposure just one more, and then I'm on to the next one. So what this can do for you is, instead of going through each image, selecting, adjusting, moving, editing, all span of images, similar to this set here, where I've got, this is my base image, and sync all those, and then all I have to do is run this if it's a little darker, a little brighter, and I can have this whole entire set. If you haven't done editing a lot in Lightroom before, and you're not really sure where to start with all the sliders, one of the quick tips I wanted to give you guys, I'm going to reset this one back to the original, is to go up here to your histogram, because I know a lot of people don't totally understand what this means. Go up here to your histogram and check this out. So what's neat about Lightroom is that it breaks your histogram down into the different editing portions. If you just kind of hover over those with your mouse, you'll see at the very top here it starts with the whites, at the bottom it's the blacks, and then it goes through. Here's the shadow section, here's the exposure section, and you'll see down here it'll light up the exposure thing as you hover it, and then here's the highlights section. So what's crazy cool about Lightroom is that in this little part here, if I want to bring up the highlights, rather than having to go down here and adjust this, I can just simply click on this and drag left or right, and Lightroom will actually change those adjustments and the others around it with me, or for me, I mean. So I'm going to bring those highlights up, and I see how that white in her shirt is lightening way up. Now, this is a bit dark for me, so I'll grab this middle section that says exposure. I'm going to drag to the right, and it will bring up that exposure. I can bring down here in the shadows and bring those blacks way down and contrasty if you like, or what I usually do is I'll bring those way up so it looks a little bit more like film. But this is a great place to start to get that base image if you don't have presets made that kind of make your images look like you want them, or if you're not really familiar with how the adjustments work in Lightroom. This will give you an excellent way for you to be able to see what those adjustments do, and also how that's affecting the layout of the histogram. The histogram is basically a visual map of the lights and darks, highlights, exposure, and shadows in your picture. So you can see from this very beginning, this is a decently exposed. It's a little dark because those shadows are really high on the histogram. But if we want to bring those down a little bit, which will move those shadows more towards the middle, we just click and drag. Same with the exposure. See what happens is the exposure, as we get higher in the exposure, you're going to see that all those peaks rise way up. That means that we're getting higher and higher into the range of the, closer to getting blown out. And see how those shadows, these blue peaks, those blacks are really high. Those blacks are not very black right now. So as we get them darker and darker, you'll see them move way down towards that left side of the histogram. So I know the histogram's that's not a really excellent analysis of what all the histogram does. I just wanted to show you guys that this is a great way to kind of start that out. Another nice way to do that is, as we've talked about before, is custom presets. These are my couple different ones for different scenarios, but the main one I always use is just this top one here, sharp and clean dark. And that brings my images to where I pretty much, all I have to do with that one is just bring the color up and fully edited. So same with black and white. If I want to have my black and white, this is going to be a darker image, so my black and white is going to need some exposure bump. But I click that, it applies my black and white preset. I'm going to bring that up just a little bit and bring those whites and shadows down a little bit darker because I like that crisp dark. And I'm set. I'm done. Completely edited. So that's a little quick overview on how syncing your images works. You've got all of the ability to go back in here in your history and go right back to where that image started if you make a couple changes that you don't like. But that's an excellent way for you to edit these sessions quickly. To get through, this session has 92 photos, and I was able to edit this session, the whole entire thing, front to back, and export in about 25 minutes. So hopefully that helps. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me, chad@deblasiophoto.com. If you'd like to check out some presets, feel free to, I'll put those links in the text of this article as well. But presets.deblasiophoto.com, we customize them to your look and how you shoot. So that's a neat thing about the presets. Hopefully this will will get you into editing, adding these into your systems, and making your back end work a whole lot easier. So thanks a lot.